What is cracking, everybody? Man, it feels good to be back. If you're wondering where I've actually been playing a lot of Factorio lately, and today we're going to take a quick walk through my most recent base. Well, actually, this isn't really my most recent base. I've been doing another game with my girlfriend, and we've been having a whole ton of fun with it. I get to work on it a little bit on my own, and when she comes over, we work on it together. But this is the base that I launched my first rocket in. In fact, I will let you guys see that right about now. Now, I just loaded the game up to where I launched that rocket, and I pretty much ended it there and started a new game after that because I was a lot more comfortable with the game. But I figured I didn't want to let this base go to waste. I wanted to share it with you guys. So today we're going to be basically just doing a quick walk through this base. I'm going to show you guys how I managed to complete it, some strategies that I used, and just, kind of a little bit of a showcase here. So let's go ahead and get to it. We'll go ahead and continue playing, and we'll let this rocket and all that stuff do its work. So I don't want to waste too much time walking around the whole base, just like with my character showing you. So I thought about a lot of different ways to do this. I was thinking of using the run speed mod, but I decided, nah, it's fine. We can just look at most of it with radars. I actually did do this entire base vanilla. We'll do a little bit of running through here while I'm talking. So yeah, I managed to do that, and I afterwards played with a few like basic minimal quality of life mods. We can take my car here while I'm talking here. So people were like, yeah, play through the game vanilla once first, and then you'll be a lot more comfortable and a lot more familiar with everything. And then oops, hit that power pole there. I'm still getting used to the controls of this car. And then after that you can play with a few minimal mods and then expand from there. I didn't want excuse me, I didn't want to do anything too crazy. I didn't want to do, Bobs and Angels. I didn't want to do anything that makes it too easy. Like nanobots, or even like the run speed felt a little bit too gimmicky and cheaty for me early on. But I figured, some basic stuff I would end up using would be like the Afraid of the Dark mod, which has been really nice. Just gives you a lot more light. The other one that I'm using is Bottleneck, which just shows you which machines are performing or not performing. And then there was one other small quality of life one. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I will mention it if it comes to mind. So anyway, this map here, this base here is done completely vanilla. That's why you'll see I've got like the vanilla lights and everything. I'm not using the Afraid of the Dark lights or anything like that. And I actually played this map relatively, like, I guess even vanilla would be the right terms in the sense of, or the right term in the sense of settings. The major thing I did was peaceful mode. As you can see, I can go up to the biters here. They're close by to my smelting here, and they're not going to do any damage to me, unless of course I pick a fight with them. I do have a flamethrower. I could blow them up if I wanted to, but I'm not worried about that right here. So the map itself, like, I use the default amount of like trees and cliffs and stuff, and since then I've learned that I don't really like playing like that. I made like the last game with very few cliffs, very few trees. Biters I still have the same amount, but they're on peaceful. And then I tried another game with even less biters because I just want to worry about them less and less. But if they're on peaceful, they're not a big deal. They're just kind of chilling there while you're building everything. And then, of course, I messed with the water and everything too, so that I would get like more big lakes rather than multiple small lakes spread throughout here like this one. In my newer maps, I got more very large lakes. It's just easier to work with. Man, these cliffs get annoying. You can see you got to snake around them here with my with all the belts there and everything. And then you got to just, early on you just got to deal with that basically. Later you can blow them up with cliff explosives, but to me it's just kind of like, why don't we just take them out of the equation? So I played with that. So as you can see, that was kind of the quick walkthrough of my base, and then we've got a whole bunch of smelting at the beginning. And we'll just do a quick zoom in here. You can see that I didn't use any trains, and I know people are probably gonna laugh at me and be like, oh, you should have been using trains, but I just wasn't familiar with them, and I didn't want to start using them in this game. And people said, you can do a whole game without any trains with just belts, and that's what I did. So I ran copper all the way from there, all the way across here, as we saw. Here's a little bit of copper smelting, some iron smelting, and some steel as well. And then here's some coal mining way over here. I put some solar panels to make sure that those things have a little extra power if the power gets a little bit low and I don't pay enough attention to it. Over here, really quickly, we got my old base. This was kind of like, I was getting more and more comfortable with the game, so I got up to automating like the first two sciences, and I researched everything over there. But I decided once I learned how to do that whole main bus thing that I wasn't going to bother with that old base anymore. I just started my whole main bus down here, and I use this to essentially win the game, if you may. So let's see. The next thing would be to, well, we've seen all the mining. We've seen the old base. You see there's a little more like copper mining up there. You've seen all the smelting over here. So let's go ahead and let's do a quick walkthrough from the very beginning, and I will explain to you guys kind of what I did. So as I mentioned, we had that old base, and the old base was good for getting the basics. It got me, you know, belts automated and got me the first 2 sciences and everything done. We can leave my car here and walk from here. And that was great. But then I learned how to do this whole main bus thing. I watched a few videos on that, and I started doing that. So basically, you know, you've got 4 lanes of copper and iron here, and then down there you've got iron gear wheels, which I ended up not using too much of. I did a little bit more just crafting iron gear wheels on site because I was using a lot of blueprints that I got online. And then down here you got circuits, and then some other stuff. You know, you got some steel, some stone bricks, some coal, some water, some iron ore, just the typical things that you need. And as we get further down, I've got some other stuff, you know, some batteries and fuels and things like that. And a lot of what I used, well, this right here is just a bunch of circuits, and this is something I got from my buddy, and he made this thing in one of our games, so I just copied it and made it into a blueprint here and printed it a few times. But a lot of the other stuff that I got was from the YouTuber Nilaus, and it's kind of outdated, so some of the recipes were different, and I had to improvise a little bit, but it worked out okay. You know, it's good for, like, for example, this whole mall here is basically his creation. You can see that we need to make a few adjustments here and there, like I needed to run steel in here, which I didn't normally need to do beforehand in old versions if I use this blueprint. But since we're making do with the, you know, the new version, which I am playing in, you know, 0.17, whatever, then we had to make a few improvisations there. So we're running down here. You can see that's where I get most of the stuff that I used to build. And then here's like more of a production mall here. You know, it's got like the drills and the pipes and the furnaces and the power poles and all that good stuff. Over here's the train shop, which I never used in this game, but I built it anyway. I did use it in my new game a lot, or not a lot, but a bit, and so I'm getting more comfortable with trains. Here's circuits, which I haven't really learned how to use yet, but I just included them in there because I had that blueprint, and I was getting used to the game and the mechanics and wanted to kind of just try to make everything, get a feel for it. Moving along, we basically have ammunition, grenades, all the military stuff, and that was to make military science. They did change it so you don't need gun turrets, but instead you need walls for the military science. So you can see over here I made walls, and they're to the right there because I figured that out later when I built all this stuff with the blueprint. I'm like, oh, wait a second, they changed it. I don't need those gun turrets, but instead I need walls. So I built the you know, little wall production thing here. And then over here is where it gets really complicated, as you probably know if you play Factorio, is the oil. So the oil, actually, I built this whole oil thing before they made the recent change where, dang it, I can't get through there. I need squeak through. Squeak through was the last mod. That was the last mod I was going to mention to you guys. Squeak through, I'd be able to squeeze right through these. So anyway, I built this thing before they made the recent change to oil, where simple oil just gives out petroleum over there, and, you know, the advanced oil gives everything else. So I was making everything at first, and this blueprint is based around it, but I upgraded it either way, so that doesn't matter. And now we've got the advanced oil processing, and it's making everything that we need. And from there on out, you know, I just kind of finished up everything else that was needed. I made red circuits that allowed me to get the next science. I'm partly colorblind. I want to say purple. Is that right? Because no, that's blue. Sorry. And then the next one's purple. Okay, cool. So the blue science, and then, you know, steel furnaces, or are those steel furnaces? I think they are. Electric furnaces, excuse me. I didn't use those too much because at this point I was getting far in the game and I was learning more and more strategies. And I was like, all right, let's just finish the game. I know I can launch a rocket soon, so I'm just going to finish it up. I'm not going to go up and, like, upgrade my bus, make more furnaces, you know, better smelting, more mining. I'm just going to try to finish the game and move on to the next one, which is what I did. But like I said, I wanted to share this with you. Got some train tracks there just to make the purple science here, right? And then we got the blue circuits. I can see that that one is blue. And then some batteries just for more stuff on the bus that we might need, you know, for robots and things like that. And then this stuff over here was pretty much the last two things. It's yeah, speed module and rocket control units, and those are obvious. That's to make and launch the rocket. So if we follow along here, we can see it's just more and more stuff that we needed, basically. I did robot frames here because I wanted to make the flying robots. And of course, you know, the rocket requires all of these things, so I had to make rocket fuel and low density structures as well. And then here's the last science, of course, so we had to make a few things to get stuff into there. And at the end here, I made this kind of high-tech shop, and this gets me all the chests and stuff for the logistics network. It also makes these beacons, which are pretty useful. And, you know, just a couple other basic stuff. Substations, is that what they're called? Yeah, substations. Yeah, and that is pretty much it, guys. I mean, that was my starter base, and as you saw at the beginning, I was able to launch a rocket already. I got some more coal down here, and I didn't really understand the concept of radars, so I doubled them up, but I know now I only really need one, unless I'm still mistaken. Somebody can correct me. I got the oil drilling, not mining, but drilling over here, and that got me the oil. Oil was, like I said, it was a pretty big hurdle, but once you get it done, it's really not that bad, and it's just more and more production and assembling and more of the same things. It's like, okay, now I don't need A, B, and C to make D, but rather I need, you know, the next few letters. What is it? E, F, and G, you know, to make H, right? So that's pretty much Factorio for you, and that is the game, and this was my first base. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. For those of you that have been around my channel a while, I want to save this for the end because, you know, at this point it's only going to be, you know, people who are really into my channel or have, you know, been checking out this video and really like this game. If you're wondering what's going on, where I've been, you probably know I mostly covered Clash Royale, and I just started to get a little bit burnt out on that game. I mean, I've been playing that game for 3 years. I still play it a little bit, like when I'm on the treadmill at the gym, but I got to a point where I was just like, okay, I'm not really enjoying playing this, so I don't really want to cover it anymore. Covered City Skylines for a little bit, and I really enjoyed that, but I moved on to Factorio, and this kind of is just fulfilling that itch to play a builder game. It's very satisfying in the way that you do this production, and you know, you're moving down the lines, whereas City Skylines is a little bit more artsy. Yeah, you can make mega cities and big interchanges, but this is a lot more complex in those numbers and ratios and production and everything. So I'll probably be covering this game a little bit more. Who knows, maybe I'll go back to cities, maybe I'll go back to Clash Royale. But the big thing that I want to leave you guys with is I am going to be super busy. As long as everything continues to go smoothly, I will be attending the upcoming semester at my community college, not my community college, sorry, my university nearby, going back to school. And I'll be getting my teaching credential. I've been working as a substitute teacher. You probably know that if you've been around the channel for a long time. And I'm going to go back and hopefully, again, if everything goes smoothly, work on becoming a full-time English teacher. And I'm going to teach high school. Alright guys, that is it for tonight. That's what's going on with me. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good night.